Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. I want to talk about getting rich. I'm going to show you a step-by-step process to get wealthy. Then I'm going to show you that you actually already know how to do it. And then I'll give an example of Warren Buffett, how he used this technique to get wealthy. Okay, so to begin with, success comes from being consistent. Not trying something and then failing and giving up. You have to be consistent. If you start something new, you'll obviously have a learning curve. You have to develop a patience and tolerance for your own learning curve. But I'm going to show you how to choose something that can make you wealthy. As long as you can agree to be consistent and to tolerate your own personal learning curve, you will get wealthy. You need to have patience to incrementally improve each day, even if it's a small thing. That could be something as simple as reading a book that you bought, or watching something online that explains something on steps you can take to get rich. That's an improvement. That's a small improvement you could make every day. You should develop a mindset of becoming insistent about getting wealthy. Just be insistent. You know, when you insist on something happening and it's within your power to make it happen over time, you can usually get that. And with wealth, it's easier than most people think. If you're insistent about getting something, you will get it. I've proven that to myself. When I got out of college, starting with next to nothing, I started down this path and it worked. And it worked for Buffett too, and I'll explain that. So here is proof that you already know how to get rich. The first thing is, if you think about the incremental steps that got you through 12 years of school, right? We've all gone through, most of us have gone through the first 12 years of school, and some of us have finished college. That was a very incremental process that took a lot of patience, a lot of learning to tolerate your own learning curve for things, and sticking to it. Almost all of us got through 12 years of school, so you can get rich. That proves it right there. You were able to do it for one thing, you can do it for another thing. So another example of this is you learned the skills of your occupation, the occupation you have now, right? You learned certain things to be able to perform your current occupation. That didn't come overnight either. You had to be persistent. You had to keep after it. You decided you wanted something. You became insistent about getting something, and that was being proficient in your occupation. You were insistent about it, and you arrived. You stuck with it. You tolerated your own personal learning curve, and you are now able to perform your occupation. So all you have to do to become wealthy is to apply that same process that got you through school, that brought you into your occupation, to learning how to get rich. That's all you have to do. It's that freaking simple. You already know you can be persistent and stick with something. You did it for 12 years of school and maybe more in college. You also learned how to develop the skills to do an occupation. All you have to do is take that same process and apply it to learning how to get rich. That's all it takes. By the way, as you go through this process, you need to continually study the wealth vehicle that you choose, because markets can change, right? Markets evolve over time. So you incrementally improve each day. You keep up to date with your market, whatever wealth vehicle you chose. And I'll show you a couple of ideas for how to choose a wealth vehicle, including the one that I chose and the one that Buffett chose. So the first step into figuring out a wealth building vehicle is to make a list of needs. So let me just, an aside here. There are wants in the economy. There are things people want, like going to see a movie or a concert. And then there are needs: gasoline, having a place to live, rental properties, medical care. Those are needs. So what I'm saying is, we're not going to focus on wants, because wants change much more rapidly than needs change. We're going to focus on something we can there's a need for it, that most people have a need for in the economy. Choose one that appeals to you. Choose something that fulfills a need that you've identified, and then learn how to provide it. You've already done that with your occupation. I'm saying figure out something. There's a need in the economy, and it doesn't matter what the competition is, because a lot of competition, they do a poor job. And like my dad always told me, there is always room for another good one. And if you start a business and you get out into the economy, you will quickly find there are a lot of companies out there that really do not know how to run a business. I have this very problem as we speak. I won't go into it, but I've been dealing with one company for a long time, and they've got new management or something, and they're really dropping the ball. There's always room for another good one. So don't worry if you choose a need where there's competition. Okay, so, and the other thing is, you don't have to be a genius and invent something that's brand new. And you don't have to create a tech product that turns into a tech startup that goes bonkers. I'm saying make a list of needs and choose one that appeals to you. And then you have a commitment. I'm going to do a great job at delivering on that need. So some subject areas, healthcare. This is a vast subject. This is a vast industry. Healthcare is a need. If you think about, as an example, Band-Aids. The people who started Band-Aids, the company that makes Band-Aids, Johnson & Johnson, it's a holding company. They started very simply. If you read that story, they identified a need, bandages, and obviously they've made a huge fortune from that. Healthcare, technology is always growing. So right out of college, I worked at a tech startup as a software engineer that went public. Okay, technology is always growing. So this is a good area. You don't have to be the person inventing the product. I didn't. I went to work for a company. It was a tech startup. I was a software engineer. It went public. I did not create the company, but you know, when it went public, we all did well. This is something else I've used: rental properties. When I was a kid, I did not have a goal to become an owner and operator of rental properties. It just wasn't there. I had absolutely no desire to do it. But right out of college, I bought a 9-unit apartment building. It was bank owned. It had been foreclosed on. And if you look on my channel, the very first video I posted is about that property. I bought it right out of college. I had saved some money. It was cheap, you know, at that time. So rental properties, it's a need, right? Technology is a need. There are so many things you can do in technology that last for a long time. A lot of things in technology come and go, but there are a lot of things that are very stable in technology. An example, Oracle makes databases. That's a product that's been around for decades. Larry Ellison was on TV the other night. I don't have TV, but I saw it on YouTube. And that guy has made an immense fortune. He's a multi-billionaire. So there are areas in technology that are stable. Okay, another area that some people like because it's great cash flow, and there's not a lot of inventory to hold, is a service business. A service business like heating and air conditioning, plumbing, and electricians, and lots of other things like people who pour concrete for construction workers, and then high-use items, vehicle tires. If you read the story of Discount Tires, it's a huge company. Tires are a high-use item that have to be bought over and over and over again. It's like toothpaste. Doesn't wear out as quickly as toothpaste, but you get the idea. Almost all of us have vehicles, and we have to buy tires for them. So if you read the story of Discount Tire, it's very inspiring, the founder of that company. And you might say, well, that's kind of a boring thing. The key to wealth building is not about your entertainment. The key to wealth building is about being insistent about getting rich, not about entertainment. If you want entertainment, right, you can go see a movie or a concert or have an interesting hobby. We're talking about getting rich. It's the reason it's so important is because it allows you to help other people. I donate, for example. Most people who have independent financial means like to donate and support charities. You can help your own family. And in my case, one of the things I do is I operate rental properties, and I really take care of my tenants. I've been doing this for quite a while. So having wealth allows you to help others. And that's kind of the way you should look at it, because the bottom line is it really doesn't matter how much money you have beyond a certain point to suit your basic needs. The opportunity to have something cool to do where you're helping others, it's very gratifying, and you're helping other people, right? You're helping our population. So let me use this example of Buffett, how he applied this. Buffett used this approach, an incremental improvement. He stuck with something, and he chose something that not the most exciting thing in the world, but insurance is a need. Car insurance, homeowners insurance, property insurance for rental properties. He chose a need. So his story on this started when he was age 21. He visited the Geico insurance building at age 21 that was in Washington, D.C. on a weekend. He got led in the building by a janitor, and he talked to one of the executives in that company who was working on Saturday. The executive's name was Lorimer Davidson. You can look this up. He was an executive at Geico. So Buffett started learning. He went through this process. He identified a need. He chose one, insurance, and he started learning about the insurance business in his 20s. And so what he did with insurance, and he runs insurance today. That's the bulk of where his money comes from. Is something he picked up at age 21, the insurance business. He started investing the payments of insurance policyholders. He did that over a very long period of time. Now, let me just tell you how long a period of time it took, because a lot of people think he was rich very young. He was not. He started down this road in his early 20s. He was 21. He did not become a millionaire until he was in his mid-30s. He was almost 50 years old, 50 years old, before he reached 100 million. Most of Buffett's wealth came after age 60. He's kind of like Colonel Sanders in that regard, right? Colonel Sanders was 65 when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. Today, despite the fact that his wealth came after age 60, Buffett is now worth $150 billion. So he went through this exact process. He was insistent about becoming wealthy. If you read about Buffett, you will read that he was very intent on becoming wealthy. He originally set a goal to be a millionaire before he reached 30. He did not get it. He was worth $450,000 in his mid-30s, and he made a key investment that grew and put him over the millionaire status in his mid-30s. So that's exactly what he did. He chose a wealth vehicle. He improved each day. He constantly updated himself with the market, and he stuck with it over a long period of time, just like you did to get through 12 years of school and perhaps college, and just like you did to pick up the skills for your occupation. You already know how to do this, right? You just have to choose a need and learn how to meet it and do a better job than competitors, if there are competitors. I mean, when Buffett started in the insurance business, it was competitive. It was already competitive. There were a lot of insurance companies. He's worth $150 billion in a competitive industry. So just some things to think about there. Okay, so a couple of things I want to point out that they're not written here. The first thing is how not to compare yourself to others, because some people get discouraged when they, for example, you might look at your age and say, well, I'm this age, and by my age, this other person was worth ungodly amounts of money. So here's how to stop comparing yourself to others. The first thing is, this is an example, so bear with me. Imagine a professor of physics at UC Berkeley. UC Berkeley is a pretty renowned university for physics. A lot of Nobel Prize winners in physics came out of Berkeley. So imagine you have a job as a physics professor at UC Berkeley. Could you do that job now? Probably not. Most people could not do that. But how could you get to the point where you could do it? In other words, that's a pretty lofty aspiration to be a physics professor at a top school like Berkeley. Could you get to the point where you could be a physics professor? Yes. You would have to incrementally learn that subject. You would have to identify that need. There is a need for physics professors of high caliber, and then take the time to incrementally learn it and be insistent about building up the skills and the knowledge to be able to do that job. So when you think about others, you can say to yourself, maybe this person achieved a particular thing, but I can do the same thing. All I have to do is commit the time and persistence, and you have to develop the skill to tolerate your own personal learning curve. And over time, you can do what Buffett did. He didn't make, he made the bulk of his fortune after age 60. He started at age 21. 40 years later, he's still working on it, and ultimately he's worth $150 billion. So there's one other tip that Buffett used, if you study him, to help him build his wealth. He studied accounting. Accounting is the language of business. If you're 100% ignorant about accounting, start slowly and take a tutorial. You can find entry-level tutorials online. Learn accounting. Have some familiarity with it, because once you start operating a business, you have to know cash management. And if the more you know about managing the money that comes into your business and how the money goes out, the more confident you will be, and you won't have surprises. Let me give you an example of a surprise. Let's say you start a business, you have customers who say they need 30 or 60 or 90 days payment terms, and you look around and you find that's not uncommon. I'll go ahead and I'll do that. A lot of those customers won't pay. If you have financial discipline, if you know accounting, you will say, I do not want to build up a high accounts receivable balance. I'm not going to offer 30, 60, 90-day payment terms. I want those customers to be taken care of by one of my competitors. I don't want people who are slow to pay or don't pay buying stuff from me, because it ties up my cash flow. When somebody buys something from you and they don't pay right away, you've taken money out of your pocket to serve them, and if they don't pay you for a very long period of time, your cash flow suffers. Cash flow is key. In Buffett's case, the cash flow came from the insurance payments by policyholders. So just some ideas, but you already know how to become wealthy because you've gotten through 12 years of school and perhaps college, and you already learned a skill set to become for your occupation. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions about any of this, please post in the comments. And by the way, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being rich. It gives you a chance to help other people, especially charitable giving. It's one of the cool things about being able to do that is a good thing. It helps people. And so there's absolutely no shame about becoming insistent about being wealthy. So I wish everyone great luck, and I want to thank everyone for watching, and have a great day.